Now, African art is growing by leaps and bound, and it's honestly bound. And even more interesting is the fact that this informal movement is spearheaded by young Africans. Now, my guest today is a 23-year-old architect and contemporary artist, Cookey Ibim, who is contributing massively to spotlighting Africa throughout his art form, which includes sketches, drawings, and hyper-realistic art. Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing? How are you feeling today on this Monday evening?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great.
Well, that's great. Now, you started off as a sketch artist with some of your famous drawings, including Wizkid, Rick Ross, Justin Bieber, and so much more. This means it wasn't always hyper-realistic art with you. How did you get from sketching to hyper-realistic art?
Well, I would say I've always drawn like from when I was little, but I fell in love with like realistic art when I wanted my works to look more lifelike.
Yeah. Well, now, honestly, what's your creative process when you're, creating an art piece or something? What's your creative process? What's it like? Would you wake up and you dream of like a person and you're like, let me do this, or is it like someone requests you to do like a picture of them? What's your creative process?
So yeah, when I started with a lot of, I did not have a lot of galleries and museums and the rest representing me because that wasn't conventional here in Nigeria where I'm from. But I used to do like commission, people would call me and be like, oh, I want you to do this birthday portrait, I want you to do this, I want you to do that. And that was what I was doing. But now I have like galleries and the rest representing me all over the world. Now my creative process is different. I tell Black people stories, I tell the story of Africans. I want the voices of those who are not heard to be heard. So what I do right now at the moment is I look for a character that fits the storyline I want to do, and I approach them and bring them to my studio, do a photo shoot, edit the pictures, and then mix them up with the concept or idea I have.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. Now, there are lots of artists in Nigeria and Africa. What would you say differentiates you from the artists that we already have? I mean, you're one of the artists, but what differentiates you from the artists that already exist?
For me, I would say every artist is different, and so am I. I think the purpose of art is for us to express ourselves and tell our stories, and not just the stories of ourselves, but the stories of people around us. So I would say what differentiates me is not really my technique or skill, it's the fact that I'm telling stories that are unique and have a particular identity to me and where I'm from in the riverine area of Port Harcourt.
Well, now, well, that definitely makes sense. But we're seeing a lot more young Africans get into this form of art. What do you think is appealing to young Africans like yourself about this? What is it that you think draws Africans to this art world?
I think Africa is a beautiful continent generally. And for me personally, I would say what is, drawing a lot of blacks or a lot of Africans to this kind of art is the fact that, if you go to galleries and museums around the world, when it comes to portraiture, you get to see a lot of, paintings like the Mona Lisa. You get to see people, being hung up on those walls. And we keep asking ourselves, how come Black people are very, Blacks, the Ethiopians, and the Nubians, they were like the first Africans that existed. But you find out that you hardly see Black people portraits in these museums and galleries. It seems like Black faces have been wiped out from history. Most of these European countries were built on the backs of African slaves. But yet,
Yeah.
you go through their history, you see that they don't really capture, these African people in essence. They capture people like Napoleon Bonaparte, people like Franklin, on the dollar note and the rest. So then comes like the urge to say, okay, you know what, we want you to walk into these galleries and these museums and see Black people. We want to rewrite our own history. We want to tell our own stories. So I think that's why you have like a lot of Black people, coupled with the Black Lives Matter. This has created a movement of, oh, you know what, we want generations to come. Let our families and people to come after us, going to these museums and see us in this light and in these places too.
Yeah. Now, I don't understand in the art industry, what is making, if you want to make a living out of, doing art and what you do, what is that like? Because unlike other, art forms that have dual functions like pottery, ceramic works, etc., you have been doing this for years. Is the business of drawing people really profitable?
Absolutely. I'm not even going to lie to you. When I studied architecture because I was from a Nigerian family where, it wasn't conventional to do art because it wasn't seen as a means of livelihood. So my parents, decided that I should study architecture instead. But my career kind of like kicked off when I went viral in 2016 on the internet. And, you know, I had like my first exhibition in South Africa in Johannesburg, and I won the Nigerian Teen Choice Award, and I won a couple of other awards, and then I was awarded an ambassador to the River State Ministry of Culture and Tourism. And ever since then, like I've done a lot of exhibitions across, and it is very profitable because when you understand that art is not an essential commodity, which means
Yeah.
people can live and at least survive without art, you then understand that your art has to speak to people. A lot of people don't buy artworks because this person draws well or because this person's artwork is beautiful. They buy artwork because of the emotional sentiment and attachment the work has. So before your work should speak to other people, it must be like a story that is unique to you, and that's what makes people, to get it. As when I started my drawings, like I was selling artworks for 2,000 naira, 5,000 naira, but now I'm selling for thousands of dollars.
Oh.
So it's a process, and years from now I'll be able to sell for hundreds of thousands. Now I'm selling for
Definitely.
and the rest. Now years from now I'll be able to sell for hundreds of thousands and up to a million. The art market alone last year generated over $90 billion worldwide. So you can see that this is just like a small fraction of it that we are taking. So so black artists are generally rising, the top.
Well, definitely. Look, here's the thing. Definitely, we honestly wish you the best, Cookie. We honestly wish you the best. And your artwork is that good. It's that good. You should be getting tens of thousands of dollars. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.